Welcome to the Angels Win podcast with former Angels broadcaster Victor Rojas, featuring Geoff Stoddart and Chuck Richter. And now it's time to talk about some baseball. Victor, take it away.
Time for the Angels Win podcast, and I know, Geoff, I told you you're going to take it away, but I heard my daughter say my name.
Yeah, I mean, your daughter announces
she said
you.
Go. Yeah, so what the hell? Might as well. I'm like, that's going to sound weird. I got some in my eyes, so I apologize, you guys. Happy New Year. I haven't spoken to you guys or seen you guys in this fashion since last
Happy
year.
New Year.
Yeah. Hope all is well with you and your families. I know, Chuck, you're dealing with some snow. Well, you live in Colorado, Geoff, so that you live in snow. Chuck, you got some snow. Yeah, my son got some in Knoxville the last 2 days.
Oh, that's right.
He was having a blast too.
You got 10. I think they got 10, 11 inches over there.
Really? It cooled down here after being 78 degrees yesterday. It was in the mid 60s today with a slight little breeze. Sun was out, so it was a little chilly.
It's so funny. You mentioned that, Victor. I was just in Clearwater, as you know, for a work conference, and
did you go to Frenchie's?
We couldn't make it because everything was like right around there, and we were kind of stuck together as a group for 4 days. But there's a lot of cool places where we were. But everybody there, all the locals, were bitching about how cold it was, and it was in the 60s. It was in the 60s, and here I am in flip flops and shorts, Yeah. And I'm like, this is great.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Geoff, what were you going to say, big guy? What were you going to interject?
Just talking about cold, I think most of the country got it. My son sent me a photo from down in Phoenix, and they even had snow about a week and a half ago. Yeah. So crazy.
I know they were getting some in Prescott. Don't you have friends in Prescott?
I do have some friends in Prescott. Yes, we've got some listeners in Prescott,
which is really
too.
South Flagstaff, by the way.
Right.
Seriously.
Flagstaff is North Prescott.
Yeah, well, either way. Exactly. Well, we're very thankful that you have tuned us in, whether it's on the YouTube channel or via the podcast, and it's nice to be back with you. And hopefully, 2024 goes off without a hitch for everyone that views us or watches, listens, whatever the case may be, and takes in the worthless information that we kind of jettison out periodically. So we appreciate you. We thank you. We're glad you're here, and we're going to talk some baseball. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, I guess you do have the Hall of Fame that's coming up. Hall of Fame announcement, I guess, is coming up in a week or it's a little shorter than a week or thereabouts. Pretty close. So, yeah. So that's nice from a baseball perspective. There's been some free agents that have signed, some that are still out there. You got the Bally's TV thing that, I don't know that it's been resolved. Obviously, there's a new wrinkle with Amazon and Amazon Prime jumping into it. But a lot to talk about, and we'll see how much we can cram in the next 17 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, Victor, on that front, on the TV deal, it's my understanding that the Angels are one of, I believe it's 9 teams that are locked in for this season.
11.
So they're gonna get 11. That's right.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get paid no matter what, right? Like Artie's gonna get that paycheck.
That was all of this, as I understand it. It's all fluid too. But as I understand it, everything that was going forward as far as the bankruptcy really was for 25 and beyond. I think the issues that were manifesting or did manifest in 23 going into 24 were already there. The Padres being taken over by Major League Baseball. And then there are 3 teams currently that are in this purgatory state. Rangers, Guardians, and Twins are the 3 teams that still don't know where their games are going to be broadcast. And that's just the Bally's thing because what was it? Root Sports, which I think was owned by or partly owned by AT&T, that's going away.
Yeah.
So that impacts teams in Seattle, Colorado, Houston, and Pittsburgh. I think don't think there's any other on the baseball side. I'm sure there's NHL and NBA that are impacted as well, but from a baseball perspective, and I thought I had read that the Astros were already working in concert with the Rockets to kind of do their own thing. I think there's 5 teams that have that do not have their streaming rights. And I think Arizona's up in the air as to where they're going. That's another team that's with the Padres last year that going into this year have no idea where they're going to broadcast their games or how they're going to get the broadcast out there. But there's 5 teams which had given or sold or however the contract was structured their streaming rights over to Bally's. Obviously, the Angels aren't one of those teams because you want to keep your streaming rights and own those rights so that you could do whatever you want to with them. But look, it's a convoluted situation. It's obviously impacted free agency, and to a certain degree, Padres have cut back considerably. You could maybe say the Angels could cut back, but maybe that was the plan by not signing Ohtani. The Royals, everybody's shooting the Royals a lot of accolades for the money that they've spent this year. But you got to keep in mind too, 1, it's out of character. 2, they're trying to get a new stadium built in downtown Kansas City, and so they need public support. And so I wouldn't get overly excited. And most of those deals are 1 or 2 year deals, right? They're Band-Aid approach to, hey, we've spent some money, and but they need this deal to go through so that they can get funding for a new ballpark in downtown Kansas City. And they've hitched their wagon to the Kansas City Chiefs as well with Arrowhead. But it's a weird animal. Look, you could look at it from the standpoint. The Angels situation is, it's a hefty contract. It's a big chunk of money. We've talked about this before. It's not Kansas City, Miami, Minnesota money. It's big league money.
It's $150 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know that it's 100. I don't think it's that high. I think it's over 100 though, if I remember. Just memory serves from a year ago, doing all the paperwork stuff and looking through some stuff. But it's a considerable amount of money, obviously. Well, I don't know. We'll segue this into the Angels side of things. I was thinking about this because the other day I asked, and I asked about whether or not the Angels are for sale or prepping for sale. And that's just going back to me last week, reading some things and speculation, blah, 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 So I figured, I've got a pipeline to, the guys in New York who were running the sale for Arte, and reached out to them. And I said, hey, I'm asking because I'm curious. And if it's happening, maybe we rekindle whatever it is we had a year ago. But they're not aware of the team being up for sale. It's certainly not with them, and it would have to go through them, nor any prepping for it. And, there's a lot of unanswered questions. And we talked a lot about it last year, but aside from the biggest question going into 23 after the sale was taken off the table was, what do you do with Shohei, right? What do you do about from a spending perspective? What do you do with everything that happened with the city of Anaheim and its mayor? Did he finally get indicted by local authorities under the FBI investigation into the mayor of Anaheim for the dealings with the city and the Angels on the parcel of land in which the stadium sits on? That whole deal fell apart. What do you do with the ballpark that is 65 plus years old or whatever it is? And you have to either put money in from an infrastructure standpoint or decide to build outside in the parking lot. There are so many variables that go into this. And it's like, you've kind of painted yourself a little bit into a corner from a valuation standpoint, although you can't even say that because the way these valuations of these sports teams continue to skyrocket.
Right.
Yeah, you've taken all these dings, but still the value is the value, right? It's the second largest market in the country. You get this team in a great location. You know what I mean? It's hard to sit there and go, now we're going to only pay 75 cents on the dollar now that you don't have Shohei. Yeah, people will discount a little bit, but the valuation itself is going to supersede that. So it's crazy how it all plays out, or how it will play out, especially as it relates to free agency. But right now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, the Angels are the third, fourth best team in the division. And even if they went out and got a Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery, they're still the third, fourth best team in the division. And it's kind of like this weird place to be in right now as an Angel fan, that you want Perry and Wash to have all the tools necessary to go into 24, but when's it going to happen? And if not, that's cool. Then come out, state it. This is what we're doing. This is what we believe in. We're going to continue to bolster our minor league system, international draft, international signings. That's a Freudian slip. There should be an international draft, but international signings period just opened up, and the Angels signed quite a few guys. And maybe that's the way. That's cool. But I think if you're just honest and upfront with the fan base and just own it at this point, I think 100%. That would go a long way. And I'll stop off my rant off the stump here, but that's how I feel right now. And I still like the core. I like what's there from a young player perspective. I like how Perry was drafting or has been drafting, and I just felt like there was an opportunity there when Shohei went elsewhere to capitalize and just keep that momentum going and say, you know what? We'll figure out the Bally's thing at some point, and if we don't, I can sell it at any point, but let's go be competitive. That's how my mind works.
Right.
But we haven't seen that yet. And maybe it's possible they're hoping that the prices come down. I don't see that happening.
No, that ain't happening.
But that's where I am on January 17th. Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah. Hey,
hey, great show, guys. We'll see you next time.
And a year ago, that was the message from Arte, is that he decided not to sell the team because he still had the fire. He wanted to make a run at it. He wanted to win with this team for the city of Anaheim. He still had that fire burning. And Ohtani left, and everything has just gone like the weather across the United States. Everything has gone cold. Yeah. Nothing really has happened. And a lot of the questions that we've gotten in the mailbag and online via X, formerly Twitter, is that, are these things related? Are these puzzle pieces that link, that the Bally's thing is, I don't know if I would use the word preventing, but delaying the team making any moves because they want to know what kind of money they have to spend? Or is Arte considering selling the team, and that's why nothing is happening, because he's trying to decide, am I still going to go all in, or am I, do I want to sell again after all? I don't know that we have any answers, but it kind of feels like things are connected.
Well, at least Victor answered one of the questions that you brought up, Geoff, in that as of a few days ago, Victor, or recently, they're not putting the team up for sale. That's going to be a big bummer for a lot of the fans out there that hear this podcast. Because a lot of fans want Arte to sell. They don't want him to have a thing to do with this franchise anymore. But to your point earlier, Victor, I mean, they did have an opportunity after Ohtani left. I mean, all these guys, Victor, that we talked about that we would like the Angels to get, Montgomery appears to be going back to Texas. Jordan Hicks is gone.
And on Hicks, by the way, just on the heels of that, and Hicks, would I have gone 4 years? No. Was the fourth year probably the one to get it done? Probably. But at 4-11, 4-44, right. I mean, you gave
right.
Wasn't Joe Smith's deal 3 years, $30 million? Wasn't Joe making at the time $10 million
Smith?
a year? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
It was something I don't remember, but it's like I'm looking at and then the Giants are going to make him a starter,
right?
You know,
Which he hasn't done since the minor leagues. Yeah,
I know, but still at $11 million.
Yeah.
Hey, if it doesn't work in spring training, it's like, hey, guess what? Just go back to the bullpen at $11 million. Okay, for potential closer. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. So, and now they're gonna. I mean, now they're forced to. You talk about how you got the Mariners, Astros, and the Rangers that are the top three teams in the division. The only way the Angels compete with those three teams, in my opinion, is if they add a Montgomery or Snell, and then maybe I don't know what you're going to do. Are you going to sign Bellinger? These are a couple guys in Snell and Bellinger who I spoke of 2 months ago to stay away from because I think they're going to be overpriced, and I think that it'll come back to bite the Angels in the long run. I mean, Snell, aside from his 2 Cy Young years, has basically been Patrick Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to pay him $200+ million over a 6-year deal, 7-year deal for a guy that can't even give you 200 innings. I don't think so. I don't think that's good business. But at the same time, the Angels don't have that front line ace at the moment. So,
but what does a frontline starter do for you right now with the other issues that you have on your team? You know what I'm saying? Or the other deficiencies you have on your team. And the other thing too, by the way, can we please get the official Scott Boras mouthpiece to stop talking every 72 hours about, Angels are still, they like Bellinger, they like Snell, but of course, like anything else, it all depends on what Arte wants to do. Well, no shit, Dick Tracy. I mean, just copy and paste that fucking tweet, and then just schedule it because it's the same shit every 72 hours. It's like, no kidding.
And people are buying it. The fans don't have anything to sink their teeth in, and they're like, "Oh, there's hope. There's hope. Artie's going to do something. The Angels are going to do something."
Just erase one name and add Jordan Montgomery. You could say that about every free agency, every free agent. Oh, said team likes X player. Well, no kidding. Well, yeah, of course they like him. Doesn't mean they're going to sign him. Yeah, he's a talented dude. Doesn't fit our budget. Doesn't fit our profile. Whatever the case may be. Right. But it's like ad nauseum. But and you know where it's coming from, obviously. Right. You guys know who I'm talking about. It's like, he got pissed at me one time. We're at a commercial break. Sorry to digress here. We're at a commercial break
this is the good stuff.
And I think one time I introduced him as something to the effect of this guy. I don't know. It's almost like Scott Boras' spokesperson, something like that. And I didn't mean it from an offensive standpoint. I was like, this guy's dialed in, MLB insider guy. Commercial break happens. Hey, could you not, I'm like, okay, my bad.
You almost sounded like him for a minute. Oh my gosh.
Well,
and how many the Angels back in the day, by the way?
He did?
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Not at a local level, though, right?
Late 80s, he was out there, I think. Yeah, I think so. Oh,
really?
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Man, late 80s, all I remember is Mike DiGiovanna in the LA Times.
I don't even remember him.
Oh, okay.
I was out there 88 when Dad was managing.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot of things that were said behind my dad's back.
Oh.
Paybacks are a bitch one of these days.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Go on.
Saving up the ammo.
Victor, let me ask you, who's available right now in free agency? And we talk about this all the time, the Angels' young nucleus, which we all really like, and how they're maybe a couple guys, away in the bullpen, and maybe a starter at the front of the rotation, maybe another bat away from being in that top tier in the AL West. What would you do? I mean, if you're owner and
now.
Now.
Well, I mean, if you have a directive from ownership saying, "Hey, we're not going to spend on big money contracts," you kind of just have to find those mid-tier guys that fit your profile, fit Wash's profile, and give him the best possible arsenal going forward. And part of that is developing the young guys. That's why I kind of like what I said two shows ago. The last time I was on with you guys was Whit Merrifield. And he's not a thumper, right, by any stretch of the imagination, but from a growth standpoint and from how you want to develop the young players to go along with how Wash teaches the game and the like, that's your guy. I mean, that's like the prototypical, what they call the dick in the dirt kind of guy. He's just going to do whatever it takes. He'll play first, he'll play second, short, left, center. He'll catch if you need him to. And still productive. That would be kind of where I'm at, which is not the upper echelon of the free agency, but hopefully in that middle tier. Now I have no idea what he's seeking, but and that's how I'd start to categorize those guys really. And if you're not going to dip your toe in the, which I'm not a Snell guy. I don't mind. I don't dislike Blake Snell. I just wouldn't sign. That's just not. I wouldn't go to that realm. I like Jordan Montgomery, but if you're not going to go there, then I almost, like I said before, I think you just build back from the bullpen and see what nuggets you can find that are free agents for the first time, injury guys that are coming back. Like a Whit Merrifield, Rhys Hoskins. I don't know what Rhys is going to command either. I like that from a reclamation project standpoint.
I like him too, Victor. Yeah.
But from a money standpoint, it's like, does it make like what's Cody Bellinger going to bring to your lineup? You're still third, fourth best team in the division. Does it add thump, assuming he produces like he did in Chicago? Absolutely. It's hopefully. I pray for Cody's sake that he is able to take what he did last year and just continue to build on it. I think I just wouldn't spend the money. What's he? I think the Yankees were looking at him, right, and they were in that 150 range, and by rumor standpoint, he wants north of 200. I'm like, no chance.
Yeah,
there's zero chance I would give him over 200,000. 200,000. I'd give him 200,000.
I give him 200,000.
Far below league minimum. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
What about you, Chuck? Any out there that you would want to go get that are?
I like Rhys Hoskins. I like Whit Merrifield. They're talking about Victor and JD Martinez is out there. Jorge Soler is out there. I think we talked about those guys.
Soler wants a multi-year deal, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he does. I think he's looking for
he's going to want some big deal. Money. Yeah,
right.
And he's a strikeout machine.
He is, and he's a liability in the outfield. And so I think what the Angels want to do is rotate guys in and out of the DH spot, like Trout, Rendon. So that would mean you would need your DH to play the field, and JD Martinez isn't that guy either. So you got to eliminate him. Rhys Hoskins has played the outfield before. He's primarily a first baseman. I think he'd be a good fit. Again, with Merrifield, he's a guy who can play all over the field. He can lead off. Really, Geoff, honestly, we got outfilders. They got Taylor Ward, they got Trout, they got Moniak, I think they're going to give Adele, a shot. They have to. He doesn't have a lot of trade value anymore. So what are you going to do? At least give him a shot, right? He looked better last year as well, Adele. So there's hope there in the outfield and at the plate. There's talk about how they're linked of course, it's Borth's mouthpiece that's doing the talking. So who knows it's BS, but Matt Chapman, right? So, but Matt Chapman's a glove first guy. He used to provide some offense, but I don't know. Really, at this point, if you're going to add, I mean, really, you'd have to go Bellinger. I mean, do I want him? No, but he's the only guy out there that I think that's going to give you any value. If you're going to
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner as well. I don't think he's a third baseman anymore, but he's a first baseman.
No, I'm talking from a DH standpoint.
Yeah, DH standpoint, yeah. And then he could go back to first base when Mike Trout or Rendon or somebody else needs to slide in there. So
yeah, I'm just looking at the available. Hyun-Jin Ryu has not signed.
Who?
Hyun-Jin Ryu?
No, he hasn't signed either. But again, he's one of those guys now that we're going back to a 5-man rotation. Where does he slot in? Right? Because you got Detmer, Sandoval, Anderson, Canning, Silseth. So if the Angels sign a starting pitcher, it's got to be somebody that's leaps and bounds better than any of those guys.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with Chase Silseth last year, and Griffin Canning had a bounce back year. You take out 2 starts out of his season last year, and Griffin Canning's looking superb in terms of ERA and his overall numbers.
Hey, by the way, Chapman and Bellinger, Hader, those guys all have qualifying offers. So it's not just the money that you're spending this year.
Yeah.
You're losing a draft pick as well. That's why I'm just kind of looking here at, man, they got Reese Hoskins market value $21 million. Yeah, that's not for a guy coming back from injury.
Yeah, and he's a guy that has a career batting average of what? Correct me if I'm wrong, Victor. Isn't it in like 250 range, 260? Yeah. Strikes out a lot.
There really aren't a lot of options, you guys. I mean, JD Martinez.
Duvall's been another one.
I'd rather have JD Martinez.
Right. I mean, I would too. As far as probably the best pure bat out there, Geoff, to answer your question, is probably JD Martinez. The problem is that he's locked in to one spot like Ohtani was, right? Because he can't play the field anymore. But if you're wanting to, make up for the loss of the power and production that you had from Ohtani, you got to go that route. So
yeah,
that's my take.
What do you guys think that we'll get out of this team and certain players just by virtue of having Wash as the new manager of the club? He made a comment, I don't know, yesterday or the day before about, guys needing to produce and pull their weight or else they're not going to play. And the implication, at least the way that I took it was that he was kind of pointing toward a third baseman that maybe hasn't been pulling his weight for the last several years.
I genuinely think he meant anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, probably with the exception of Trout.
Do you think that we could or should anticipate a bounce back from somebody like Rendon, though? Obviously there's a lot of the younger guys on the team that are just, kind of scrappy, want to get out there, want to get dirty, want to make things happen, that love to play, that I think will really do well with him as the manager. But, is he going to be able to rejuvenate, again, somebody like a Rendon? Is that something that we should expect?
That's very possible. I mean, with Anthony, you're going to have to take the old under promise, over deliver kind of mentality, right? Because what are we 3 years in now? And
four.
Yeah, crazy. Four.
Yeah.
It's insane. This will be the fourth.
This will be the fourth. Yeah,
this will be the fourth. And the track record speaks for itself right now. And so I think you have to just temper whatever expectation you have. I wouldn't build him up. I certainly would not, because I think you're just setting yourself up for disaster, to be perfectly honest with you. If he does come out of the gate or gets hurt or fails or whatever the case may be, and maybe Wash and Bo Porter and those guys can get the most out of him, and he, God willing, he stays healthy and he is productive. But I think that's just icing on the cake.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about third base, But I just think you have to, from that standpoint, let's assume he's fine, and you still have to go out and get another hitter. You got to hope that the Neto, Ohapi, shortstop catcher situation continues to develop at the pace, before Ohapi got hurt.
Right.
And that obviously that hurts, because that stymies his development of just constantly seeing pitching and being able to work the adjustments and the like. And Neto had some injuries toward the end too, freak stuff. But you hope that those guys continue to develop. But is Shanuel the answer at first base? Is he the guy that you're going to roll with? And that freaking awesome that he was able to do what he did coming out of FAU and rolling right into the starting lineup and being able to produce. But right now he is just a singles type hitter. He's not quite the gap to gap guy yet. He's not Mark Grace. Seems like he has a very good eye at the plate. Understands how to put bat on ball, which is huge. Doesn't seem overwhelmed. So I think there's that potential of, okay, there's some possibility. There could be some uptick on the power side, or being a doubles kind of guy that occasionally hits 15 to 20 out of the ballpark, and maybe it develops. It's kind of like the Matt Thaiss situation coming out of college, right? I mean, Matty was a stud coming out of college, Virginia, and he was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was the best pure hitter of that draft, if I remember correctly. And yet they tried to screw with him and tinker with him and trying to get him to lift and try to become a power hitter. And it set him back. And thankfully he's still in the big leagues and he's battled it out. He put the tools of ignorance back on, got behind the plate, and battled through it. And he's just, it's okay to let an individual just be themselves, the best version of themselves, as opposed to trying to say, it's like going to Anthony and saying, Anthony, I know you've been hurt. I know you feel good. This is awesome. We need you to be a 40, 125 guy. Okay. You can sacrifice a little bit of the batting average, but we need you to be a 40, 125 guy. Well, Anthony's not a 40, 125 guy. Never has been.
Yeah.
Right. So I just think sometimes we anticipate or put too much pressure on guys to play bigger than what they are, when they're already really, really good at what they do. That's why they get to the big leagues. So let's just nurture that and get the most out of that before we start ticking it upwards. And I think that's where Shanuel, Neto, Ohapi, Moniak to a certain degree, those guys just keep doing you. Keep doing you. Just keep doing you. Yep. The supporting cast will be there, and you're just, the more reps you get, the better you're going to get. And look, at the end of the day, as a realist, you're going into 2024 as an Angel fan going, all right, let's hopefully we get one of those wild card spots.
Right.
That's, as of January 17th, that's what I look at. I mean, unless something comes out of the chute next Monday and they sign 4 guys and you're like, all right, let's roll. But you're going into 24 as, all right, we're shooting for a wild card. And if you overshoot your mark, awesome. If you undershoot it, hey, listen, we set the bar here. I know we're shooting. We really want to win a World Series, but this is what, as a fan base, that's where I'm setting my bar. It's like, all right, let's just try to get to the wild card. And whatever happens in the wild card, trades that happen during in season, all that stuff, things change throughout the course of 6+ months.
Yeah. I personally believe, Geoff, to answer your question, that Ron Washington's going to pull as much talent that there is to pull out of the Adeles, the Moniacs, the Shanuels, the Netos, and the Ohapis, and the like, better than anybody, right? So I'm excited for that right now going into the season without making any other moves, right? And having very, very low expectations that we are the underdog and we're going to battle with this young core and a few veterans, right? But you and I mean, we're all three of us here are fans of the team and we want the team to do well. But there's this extra little excitement, like that excitement we talked about when we hear Ron Washington talk. And as fans, we want to run through a wall, right? Just think about what the players are going to do when they hear him speak and when he's cracking jokes and making guys feel good, but he's also getting on guys when he's seeing something not done right. I really think this team and the chemistry, the team chemistry is just going to be amazing this next season. And
you'll want to root for this team.
Yes.
Wash will bring that out of a fan. It's like, all right, this is a blue collar team. This is a team that's going to do whatever it takes to win games. And if you don't do it or you don't buy in, he's going to hold you accountable. He's going to pull you out of a game. He's going to sit you down. And I think in today's world, I think that's what fans are looking for is accountability, as opposed to just continuously running something out there just because the salary commands it. Screw that. Put your best 9 on the field every single day. And if someone doesn't, get them out of there. I've told you guys that before. Just get rid of them. I mean, if you're not buying into, if you're not rowing in the same direction, man, get them out. The old saying is you get the you get the right people on the bus by getting the wrong ones off of it. And that's how you have to just really roll with it.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, it reminds me, Geoff, in football, Russell Wilson. So we drafted Russell Wilson.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, let's ride. But what a lot of people don't realize, what a lot of people don't realize is, they drafted him in what was it, the 3rd or 4th round? Low expectations coming in. Maybe he makes the team as a backup. They signed Flynn to be their quarterback and paid him big money coming off, from the Packers to be their guy that offseason. And Russell Wilson beat him in camp and claimed the starting quarterback job. That's all on Pete Carroll. But I see Ron Washington being that same guy. Whoever comes to camp and works their ass off and puts in the work day in, day out throughout the season, they're gonna get starts. They're gonna be on the field. And
Geoff,
like
wasn't that similar story with was it Terrell Davis with the Broncos when he went into camp? He was like the 7th man.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
On the running back list, and then like each exhibition game, and I think there was a blowout game somewhere in a dome, and I think he was on special teams.
Yeah.
Made a hit on somebody, stayed in the game, broke a couple of runs, and then it's like it opened up the eyes to people. Like, all right, this guy might be pretty good. He ended up being pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you, Chuck. I think you just have to, as long as you're going into it with eyes wide open, and honest, an honest assessment. I think that's fair. I think when you start getting too far out over your skis of like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it's like this fan base right now is like, we've kind of been down that road before, and I think it's okay, personally, if they don't go sign the guys just for the sake of signing or making a signing. I think that's okay. I don't think you need to go sign Cody Bellinger because it's Cody Bellinger and we made a splash.
Right.
I think if either you're in or you're out, right? And I think if you're out, that's cool. But I think you just have to be, from a transparency standpoint and from a trust standpoint, from a brand standpoint, I think you just have to just say, okay, listen, we're not going to spend, or we're going to spend wisely. This is the route we're going to go. We believe in our young core, and let's take our chances. We really like our team this year. I can buy into that. I can buy into it because my expectations are realistic. I don't think this team's going to win the division. I really don't. Not today. Not with what you have. The world champions are in your division.
Right.
That's a pretty good team. That's a pretty damn good team. Pretty good lineup. You know, they've got some young guns on the way as well from a reinforcement standpoint in the minor leagues. So I think you just have to be smart about it.
And very few of those splashes that you mentioned, Victor, have ever panned out.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe Vladimir Guerrero with the Angels, Torrey Hunter.
You could say Torrey worked out.
Yeah.
I think Joe Smith kind of worked. I mean, he wasn't a big flash.
He was a drop in the bucket.
Not bad. He worked out all right. He was very consistent. He did his job, from a multi-year deal standpoint,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Geoff, what do you got, buddy?
I think we've hit all of the topics that were in the mailbag and on Twitter. So, I don't know. Any final thoughts, guys?
I want to hit Victor with this real quick before we end the show. Victor, did you see Reed Detmers yesterday on that other podcast, Foul Territory? He had mentioned...
I don't watch Foul Territory, but I think I read the tweet or what have you that said something about Reed and the guys knew that Shohei was probably gone.
Yeah.
I mean, does that really surprise you, though?
I mean, how can players know that he's not coming back? But
because they're with him all the time.
It blows my mind that the owner. Anyway, I don't want to.
What did I say? I think it was on our last podcast. Somebody read the room incorrectly. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Somebody. I don't know who that somebody is. Somebody obviously who's got some juice from a decision-making standpoint. Read the room completely wrong. And I saw somewhere where someone was saying, well, look, I can understand where Arte might say, well, I never thought it would get to 700. But it was at 500.
Right.
Like, were you going to commit at 500?
Right.
If you're going to commit at 500, at that point, aren't you just committing?
Right. You're just
if you're in at 5, what's the other 2? Especially if you're going to defer it, and you're probably not going to be around
for a pound
to pay that deferral, right? I mean, it's going to be someone else's problem. So that's where I'd love to go back and listen to what we said back in August when they didn't trade again. It was Wednesday when they made the announcement that Shohei is not going to be traded. When the trade deadline, I think, was Monday.
Right.
And then they made a bunch of deals.
A bunch of deals, Band-Aid deals that none of them worked out.
Right.
What, to show him that, hey, we're serious? I mean, like you didn't know at that point. What if you didn't know that he wanted to stay or was giving you the indication that, then why would you not explore the trade and make all those other deals?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very weird. And I don't want to go back and rehash it, but it just, somebody read the room wrong.
The other part that I did like what he had to say was that they're really excited about getting back into a 5-man rotation.
I'm sure, of course.
And,
I guess that's surprising.
And I wonder, in Victor, I mean, like Tyler Anderson came from the Dodgers, had a sub-3 ERA in a 5-man rotation, goes to the Angels and now has to adjust pitching every 5th or 6th day now, right?
Yeah, but did Tyler have an outlier year 2 years ago?
Sure, yes.
But you know what I'm saying? He's a soft-tossing left-hander, Right.
But maybe he can get back to at least his career norms, which would have been great for the Angels.
Yeah. Still, I don't think it would. I mean, unless he just goes off, I still don't think it justifies the numbers for which he was signed for, but you paid him for what he did against, with the Dodgers 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
And so when you pay somebody like that, you automatically raise the bar, right? Like that's the norm. I'm paying you to be that guy, not to be the guy you were before that. So you know what I'm saying? I think I'm not throwing water on your parade, Chuck. I think that is a loser's mentality to sit here and say that if Tyler, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general,
right?
For Tyler to get back to his career norms, not the outlier year, then why the hell did you sign him to a 3-year deal and give him that money? You know what I'm saying? When you didn't really have to.
It reminds me of the Gary Matthews Jr. catch.
It wasn't a catch. It was a fucking catch. It was a hell of a fucking catch. All right. There's no quotes or air quotes around that, bro. That was a fucking catch. All right. That was a great catch, and it was stupid. I was there and I saw it with my own eyes.
Okay. What was it?
You know with who, by the way?
Huh?
Eric Nadel had the call. You know what's sitting between us? Robert Earl Keane, the musician. We were doing an interview. The Astros were in town. Was it Mike Lamb? No, it was one of the Lamb guys. I forget which one. And Robert Earl Keane, and we're like, what just happened? How the hell did he catch that thing? So there's no catch. It was a catch, bro. It was a catch.
I know.
And I know you shouldn't have paid him for the catch.
I'm bitter because we didn't get any good production out of Jay.
I'm gonna bring GMJ on here. I had JHJ and GMJ, Jerry Harrison Jr. and Gary Matthews Jr. on the same team with the Rangers. Great dudes. Nice. Great.
Bring him on. Actually, I thought Jerry Hairston's got his own podcast too, doesn't he?
Jerry, he does a lot of Dodger stuff. Great dude. Gary, one of the best guys you will ever meet. Just a sweetheart of an individual. Yeah. Great dad. And I told him back in the day when we would do interviews and stuff when he was with the Rangers, I'm like, dude, you got a life in broadcasting. There's just because he's a handsome dude. He speaks well. He just the way he carries himself. He would make a ton of money on TV if he wanted to, but he doesn't have to. Courtesy of the 5-year, $50 million deal.
Oh man,
too soon.
Good stuff.
Too soon.
My bad. Jeff, that was by far your best show.
Gentlemen,
great job, Jeffrey.
Well done as always. Here's to dry January.
To the Seahawks and to the Broncos. Cheers.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, everyone. We will be back in
when the Angels do something. Jeez.
It's like the meme of poking the, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we appreciate everybody for listening and watching. It's fun to do this. And we're just positive. Hey, the calendar's turned. New year.
Yep.
Spring training starts in less than a month. Yeah. And you never know what's going to happen. But, we're rooting for this team to kind of go forth, bust their ass, and be that blue-collar team. I think if it takes on Wash's personality from top to bottom, it's going to be a fun team to watch, no matter what they do in the offseason. Yeah. If they're all buying in, that coaching staff and that roster of players, at the bare minimum, it's going to be a very fun team to watch all year long.
Yep.
I sincerely mean, I believe that much in Ron Washington, what he's capable of doing in that clubhouse.
Yeah, indeed.
That's exciting. I'll take that.
We'll take that.
Chuck, enjoy the snow. Jeff?
Yeah.
Just drink
Always
more.
Enjoying the snow
Jeff,
here.
Just drink more, right. Jeff.
Until next time, boys.
All right, we'll see ya.
Thank you for listening to the Angels Win podcast with Victor Rojas, Chuck Richter, and Geoff Stoddart. Go Halos and drive home safely.
Say goodbye.